The main character from the first Watch Dogs, Aiden Pearce, was received with mixed responses for his overall trait. People called him a one-dimensional protagonist, which, going through another Ubisoft big series, Assassin's Creed, Altair shared a very similar fate to what Aiden had. When it comes to Ubisoft characters for the start of a franchise, the characters are always stoic and just always dead. There's always one side of them, and people tend to not be able to relate or care for the character and what is going on in the story. When Ubisoft see the criticism, they just stop that character's arc and move on instead of just improving on the criticism of the character that the character received. Hence is when you get Assassin's Creed 2 and Watch Dogs 2, or just anything really, they move on this character that received all this criticism, but because of, just what they are, they move on to having Assassin's Creed 2. The guy, basically both charisma, Assassin's Creed 2, he pretty boy, or Watch Dog, the funny guy, dialogue, whatever, with charisma. So they always move on to those characters. Except for one, Bayek was different. I just feel like that when it comes to Aiden, when they was creating him, it didn't go so well to when they was making Aiden. Because there are people out there that that did like Aiden for what he was, and we're waiting to see what Ubisoft would do next with the character in the franchise. But like I said before, usually when it comes to the first game of a franchise, Ubisoft tend to not stick with that character and move on to somebody else to make him more likable to the masses. So instead of sticking with Aiden, they downgraded him. They downgraded his character, and what I mean is that if the PSP was still around, Aiden would appear on there like Altair from Assassin's Creed Bloodline. I like Aiden as a character. When playing the game, I could see myself in his shoes, losing somebody that I cared about. That other side people were looking for would not have been there. He was a dark character that was on a mission. He was a man of focus. Wasn't going to let anything deter him from his goal. Aiden's human side was somewhat gone because, he felt personally at fault for what happened to his niece. He went for the people that put a hit on him. And side note, in the words of the mob, basically, you never hit the kids. Aiden started his one-man army against the mob and anybody that was involved. And then when you play Watch Dogs, now you can see, you can kind of see what they was trying to do. I see Aiden as a Batman / John Wick, of having similar outcomes in their life that they lost some of value. And it made them who they are. But difference is, Aiden as a whole was like a rough draft that whoever wrote out the rough draft forgot that the final paper was due that week, so they turned in that rough draft as a final paper, which was incomplete. John Wick had that other side that people were looking for. What I mean is, when we saw Wick being the BA assassin he is in the field, but what also helped his character was the myth, the legend, the story of his character, and the way people talked about him. You can see it when you watch the first John Wick, how the boss of the Russian mob spoke, basically spoke highly of Wick, and this is the guy that you do not want to mess with or have any dealings with this guy, because if you're on his list, that is it. It's over for you. And when it comes to Aiden, Aiden didn't have that. Aiden didn't have any nightmare stories that you tell the little baddies to help them go to sleep. But Aiden still had that other side where he's an unforgiving assassin hacker that would drop anybody in his way. The man may not be John with the skills, but he always ripped through guys and always prepped like he was Batman. I like that vigilante hacker that was going through the underworld and corruption of the city, trying to seek salvation, to release himself from the guilt that he had been torturing himself with. I feel that, if Ubisoft took the time to finish carving the rest of Aiden's character, like how they do their recent protagonists in their games now, I think a lot of people would like Aiden. So to me, to be honest, I feel like it is the perfect time to bring back Aiden Pearce, because like I said, when compare him to Wick and all that, he don't have that story, that other side of him that people talk about. Because, we just got thrown with Aiden, and if you don't read anything about him, you just play the game, you're like, why is everybody scared of this man? I feel like, since the ending of Watch Dogs and what he did in that world, I've kind of made him a legend. Especially, DedSec and all that. He's a legend now, so I would kind of like to see him in the field. I want him to be a playable character. I don't want him to continue to be a legend. You just hear story or rummishes about him, Easter eggs and all that. I want to see Aiden back in a main game as a playable character, because I really did like his character. People didn't like him because the way his personality was and how he acted, but to be honest, when you're a person that lost something in his life, you're not going to be able to show that emotion that you think that you want them to garner. It's not happening, because if I lost something in my life, and I feel because it is the reason that is not in my life anymore because it's my fault, that is just going to torture me for the rest of my life. And to be honest, like I say, I like Aiden as a character. I feel like he's a really good character. He does have flaws. To be honest, Ubisoft could have did a little bit something more to basically improve, because I feel like since he took out the people at the end of Watch Dogs, that basically put a hit out on him that ended up getting his niece killed, I feel like he would have been a little bit, he would probably improve, like maybe I should start living my life now and all that, since I still have my sister and my nephew. So I feel like Ubisoft should have did a little bit more to his character. Like Altair, they could have did. Because Altair was the same way. He was a boring character. I'm not going to try to defend Altair because he was pretty boring. But it's the same thing with Aiden. I didn't think Aiden was boring, but some people out there did think Aiden was boring. But I also think it was the game too. Because there are acts in the game that should never been in the game, that draw the game out or didn't really do anything for the story of the game, that you kind of have to, push yourself forward through to get to the other act of the game that gets good. But I feel like if they're gonna make, which they are, because I hopefully they're making another Watch Dogs 3, and Watch Dogs 3, I would really like to see Aiden in it. But anyway, I'm not going to drag this video on, man. Hopefully this is just my thoughts rambling in my head about, Aiden Pearce in the series. He's one of those characters that, like I said, if the PSP was still around, Aiden games will probably be put on the PSP, like Ubisoft did with Altair with Bloodline. And yes, I know Altair was mentioned in like the other games and all that, but I want to see another game of Aiden Pearce, because I feel like there's more to his story. You can do more with him. That's why I wish hopefully they don't abandon him out there. They don't leave him on that island. Hopefully they don't keep with this life. I like the lighthearted, Watch Dogs 2. I like that game. I love Watch Dogs 2. But they should just take, whatever they did with Watch Dogs 2, not the lighthearted stuff, but how they made the gameplay better, and make 3 and have Aiden in it, because I feel like there's still, I like that dark tone game of it. I like that other side of the world that we got to see, that we got a little glimpse of in Watch Dogs. Yeah, and they could, improve on that. They could build on that with Aiden. When he was in Watch Dogs 2 as a glimpse, he was taking on the other, like, these other syndicates, these other mobs, the Chinese mob and all that. So I want to see that in Watch Dogs. I want to see it in the series. It don't have to be 3. You know, they probably, you know, do a spinoff, whatever. I want to see that. Or they could do a DLC, kind of like how they did with T-Bone. And if they don't go with Aiden as a main character in the next Watch Dog, they could just use him as a DLC. And that could see if people kind of want Aiden Pearce as his main game, and that could be pushed into a main game later on. But anyway, I'm done rambling. I'm just rambling right now. I'm off script. But I hope you guys like the video and all that. What's your thoughts on Aiden? Did you like Aiden as a character? Would you like to see him in Watch Dogs more than a legend? Want to see him as a main character or a supporting character or something? But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.